Hello there, welcome to this interview episode of the Brit Does Baseball Does podcast. You will know from my lovely voice, I am Gaz. I am joined by, he hasn't spoken yet, so if you're watching on YouTube, you've seen him. If not, it could be any one of four co-hosts. Have a guess. 3, 2, 1. It's Alan. Alan, how you doing?
Yo, I'm not too bad. Good Friday here, Easter. We got a bit of a break. We're going to settle into a podcast here. What more can you want?
More than 3 baseball games yesterday on MLB would have been wonderful.
That's true. That's true. More of a rhetorical question, but I love that you keep on topic. You bring it back into baseball. I love it.
Yeah. We are a Brit Does Baseball Does podcast. We're also a Brit Does useless questions sometimes. We've got an interview episode today. We're coming away from MLB. We are a British baseball podcast, and I think it's about time that we actually start covering a bit more of British baseball. So we've been quite good on sort of the national side of it. You know, we've had interviews with coaches in the under-23 men's team. We've had 2 interview episodes now with some of the women's team. But we haven't really spoken much about like regional baseball and baseball that's actually played in the UK. So for those of you that don't know, myself and Alan, we both play for the London Mets club in London, both to varying different degrees of success. Alan's a lot better than I am. And you know, there is a world outside of London in the UK, and there's a certain club in the UK that seems to be doing a lot more on social media than most, and we thought it's a great time to bring them on. Also, another link, if you remember back when we did our season review series, we had our guest 9 Inning Nomad Chris on, and Chris actually sponsors this club, so we thought it'd be a nice full circle moment. And we also reached out to this team and this guy in particular because he's got fantastic headwear. But has told me he doesn't wear the hat when he's playing, which we'll discuss a little bit later on. But joining us all the way from Plymouth, which for those of you that don't know is in the southwest of England, coming from the Plymouth Outlaws is Taff. So please welcome Taff to the podcast.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on. How are you?
I'm very good. We've almost got the start of a joke here, guys. We've got an Englishman, an Irishman, and a Welshman.
There you go. I didn't even think of that. Good man. Bringing the humour in straight away.
The bad thing is, if we had Cow or Josh on, we'd have a Scotsman as well. So that would have been perfect. But they did the Easter special, so we thought we'd tag out and do this one ourselves. Before we get into it, Taff, the hat. Talk to me about the background of this hat and why don't you wear it when you're playing? It's really upsetting to me.
Yeah, to be honest, it's a little bit upsetting for me as well. But you know, we do have to abide by the rules. And the cowboy hat is not approved headwear for on the field, which is a crying shame because it kind of gives me my mojo. So if you ever catch us on social media and you see me doing the interviews and the talking to camera pieces, I've always got the hat on. It's kind of my security blanket. But to wear it on the field, which probably explains why I'm a D5 player.
Yeah, well, you obviously can't wear it to games, but have you ever like done a sneaky practice with the hat on or anything?
I couldn't possibly comment on that. Yeah.
Good man. I think that's some good social content right there.
For those that might not, but that might just be listening, just to describe the hat, I want to say it looks like an Australian bush / cowboy hat. More cowboy, I'd say.
It's British made. It is in the style of a sort of cowboy hat, if you like. I couldn't justify spending hundreds of pounds on a Stetson because I'm not actually a cowboy. But you know, it kind of fits the vibe of the club. We've got this sort of Western theme running right through everything that we do. I mean, the Outlaws, a bit of a giveaway in the name. But you know, a lot of our team, our walk-up songs are country music. We've got some real fans, and it kind of all just ties together.
Nice. And what's your walk-up song?
Ain't No Love in Oklahoma at the moment. To be fair, originally I wanted it to be a Tom Jones song because I was going to do the Carlton dance if I ever hit a home run.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not hitting any homers anytime soon, so I thought, you know, let's change the song, get something a bit more pumped to it, a bit more country. So that's
I think when we all first get into baseball, we're all like having all that planned out. It's I know what song I'm going to do, and then go what I'm going to do, and then you get in the field and you're like, I'm probably not hitting a homer for a while, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely it. I mean, especially you know, if you play video games of it, and to be fair, you watch the guys in the big leagues, and they make it look so easy, right?
Yeah.
And then you realise quite how far sort of 400 odd feet is.
Yeah.
it kind of all brings it back into context that maybe I'm not doing that this season.
I would love. I've never hit more than a single, so I'm still waiting for my first extra base hit. But maybe I'll pull out the Carlton dance on second base if I ever get there.
Yeah, I like it.
But yeah, so as we mentioned and we've alluded to, Taff is from the Plymouth Outlaws. They are a club playing baseball in the southwest of England in a place called Plymouth. Believe it or not, it's not a trick question. Plymouth is a nice port city, naval history. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about the Outlaws. So it's a fairly new club, the Outlaws. Do you want to just give us a bit of background into when you formed and how long you've been playing?
So the baseball's been played in Plymouth for quite some time. There is another club, and the Outlaws were formed as a sort of splinter from that club that was starting to get to the point where, do you know what, there's a market for more teams in the city. The popularity was kind of starting to grow, and it seemed like a sensible time to sort of start a fresh chapter. So towards the end of last year, the three founders of the club, they kind of got together and started the movement, and I came across it with I got tagged in a random, well, it felt random at the time, video on Instagram that was like quite good. I was like, well, what is all this about? Anyway, I got in touch and realized who it was, and I was kind of hooked from there. So from the very beginning, social media has been kind of our main, call it a recruitment tool, but it's been our main theme throughout. I was like I say, we're coming up to the 1 year anniversary now, and we're just under 3 million views across our platforms, which, for a fairly, certainly in the UK, a niche genre, niche subject, whatever you want to call it, I think that's pretty impressive. We're very, very lucky. We've got some extremely talented photographers, videographers, and editors that are also into baseball and want to play with us. So we've got a real pool of talented people there that allow us to get the content out there. But it's dangerous because it could become a full-time job, as I'm sure you guys know. That this sort of thing can really take over your life if you're not careful.
People don't realize it. It's like even just like replying to comments as like a single thing it takes up hours of your life. It's amazing.
It's crazy. I mean, we've had a couple of reels really blow up. I'd like to say it was a positive thing, and I suppose if you look at the bigger picture, it is. But generally, the videos that do really well for us are the ones where our illustrious friends across the Atlantic really roast us. Seems to kind of drive the engagement, and it goes from there.
Dude, you are preaching to the choir here. I have a baseball brand called Bad Arm, and we put out like game videos, and it's either people across the pond are like, oh my god, that's so amazing, I didn't realize people play baseball in the UK, or they're like, you are so shit, I would be Barry Bonds in that league. They're like, and you're just like, okay, bro, I don't care, give me the hate. It's driving up the views. It's absolutely fine.
It's so good. I mean, we did one where we had a bit of a throwing challenge, and we've got a speed gun. So our guys really trying hard, giving it their best. Well, there was a couple in the 60s there, which is not bad for how we stand play. And some of the comments we were getting from the States were like, "Oh my god, even the little leaguers could beat us." And you're like, "Yeah, they could, because they play the game from knee high to a grasshopper age, whereas a lot of come into it. I'm 43. I started playing 2 years ago." And there's a lot of us that are in that boat. We've come to it later. What has been interesting is the last one that we put out. I mean, it did get roasted. We did a video of stealing base of a tournament that we played in at the end of March. But there were some comments in amongst there going, oh my God, these guys must be feeling amazing, discovering this beautiful game for the first time. And I saw a video from just random creator who was saying, I really wish I could play rec ball. And we were like, come over to the UK because this is what we do. So it's been good. But again, that whole international thing, you mentioned Chris from 9 Inning Nomad. He found us on social media and decided to sponsor us. And he has been so good with us. I mean, he's got us in touch with some actual MLB players. I mean, we had a pitching masterclass from DJ Snelton, who is, he's an actual big leaguer. That's pretty cool, right? And yeah, that sort of exposure that we've got has really, really helped. We've got a bat sponsor in the Ukraine. He makes really good quality bats. And again, he just found us and said, "Hey, I want to get involved." I'm like, "Great, yeah, this is brilliant." So
I saw you have sponsors. You even have like player sponsors and stuff as well. Is that something that you advertise and we're looking to going forward, or people just like approach you and were like, "Hey, this looks cool. We'd love to help you out."
Yeah, we kind of put a initial plug out, kind of testing the water a little bit, saying, "Hey, is anybody want to sponsor players?" And even that kind of blew up. We've got companies now getting in touch with us without us having to go fishing, if you like, saying, "Hey, we'd love to." And we don't charge a lot. I mean, it's like 50 quid to sponsor a player for the season, but you get your branding on all the videos and all the lineups and all stuff. But I think people have started to realise now, with the volume of engagement that we're getting, that it benefits their business as well. So like everybody wins. For us, the biggest thing is not so much the sponsorship. It's not even about getting a bigger player base. It's just getting the message out there that, hey, baseball's a thing in this country, and it's kind of, it's been really good in that respect.
Yeah. So tell me, you said as well, but just going back, you said that Plymouth is really popular, but baseball's really popular out there. Can you think of a reason? Because like for people as well don't know in the UK, like Plymouth is out there. It's like the very tip of the UK, and it's kind of quite remote. Is there a reason why you think it's so popular out there?
I think there's a little bit of history there. Obviously, during the war, we had a lot of American forces here, and I think they played it. There is a bespoke diamond in Plymouth. It's one of the, at the moment, the only ones in the southwest, although Exeter Baseball Club, who are also growing at a rate of knots, are in the process of negotiating getting a bespoke facility built. So I think that's had a big part to play. But yeah, there's a history of the game being played in the city. And there's just been enough of a thread of it that's carried on, from you're talking 80 odd years nearly now, from the end of the war to now. And I think the reason it's grown recently, you think the MLB came over to the UK, they've done the London series a few times. It started to get a little bit more mainstream. I was devastated when they called off the latest iteration, because my team were going to be playing. Blue Jays against Yankees, that's going to be a good game, right?
That would be amazing. I'm a Yankees guy, so it would have been me versus you, man. I know, bring on the hate. I'm used to it now. I don't care.
I mean, do I do the bloody thing? Yeah, the Yankee lose. That was but we'll gloss over that. But yeah, I think the social media and the fact that we're all a lot more connected in the world now has kind of brought it to the a little bit more mainstream.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned on the MLB London series, because that helped get me into the game. So my girlfriend, now fiance, originally, like, she's a Cubs fan. She's from the wider Chicago area, and the first year that I got into baseball was 2023, and that was the year the Cubs and Cardinals played in the series. So my first ever baseball game was, I'm a Spurs fan for football, so unfortunately it was at West Ham's home stadium. But it was still a really, really great atmosphere. And, that year I was lucky enough to go to both to Wrigley Field and to Fenway. Right. I've not been to a baseball game since, like, professionally. Hopefully get an Oracle part this year. That's a complete side note. But I feel like that was a big sort of jump start for the MLB, because even in the years where they don't do the London series, they have, like, takeover events. Yeah. So last year they had the Hackney Bridge takeover, which was like there were like themed drinks and there were themed areas. And I think they had what's the name of the Yankee hitter that's always over here, Alan? It's one of the former pros.
The Yankee hitter that's always over here?
Yeah, the Yankee position player who's like the spokesperson for MLB UK. I'm going to forget his name.
I can't remember. Yeah, and I've
Swisher, Nick Swisher.
That's the one. Yes.
Nick Swisher, yeah. He's just like the poster boy for MLB over here, apparently. And it was just a nice weekend for like people to have fun in like a batting cage and try and catch a ball whilst diving into a foam pit. And that was just a really cool experience. And I'm glad it's kind of gone to like all reaches of the country, because London's quite a multicultural place. People, a lot of Americans come over here, immigrate, and they work, and they kind, there's a higher percentage of the London Mets club that are originally from North America, which is great, or even from like Korea and China and Taiwan, those sort of places. But I'm glad it's kind of grown and spread across the country, because I don't see Plymouth have as many, people won't come over to the UK and go, yeah, I'm going to go sit up in Plymouth. So, yeah.
And about the London series as well, just a small point on it. I remember seeing a stat on it was some MLB that I was watching, an MLB game that I was watching, and they were saying that the London series was the most attended game of the year, like the highest attendance. So it's even at these stadiums that people are coming to see the big teams in America. It was still London that had like whatever, it was packed. It was like 50-something thousand, 60.
Yeah, it would have
almost
like
60,000.
60,000 both days. I think a little bit less on the Sunday, but
it's there. It's there. There's enough expats over here that it's like people just need to know about it. We just need to get, like you say, Taff, that the people need to just get the word out and realize that there's stuff there, because there's people who live in London, even so our team's based in Finsbury Park in London, and they'll be in the area or they'll be close to it, and they'll be like, I never even knew it was there. I didn't know it was happening. Didn't know it was a thing. I'd love to like come down and play, and you get loads of people. Yeah. Like we just had one guy come down who had we had our first training for the season yesterday, and we had one guy come down who met the Mets guys in Passyunk, which is the baseball bar in London, and he came down. They're like, "Oh yeah, come down. You can probably play for one of the teams." And it turns out he was like, up to 2 years ago, he was a AAA relief pitcher with the A's, and it's just like having that level come over to England and not realizing it's here, and then being able to, because then they can help grow it as well. It's like you have him who's like, oh yeah, sure, I'll give a few hours to teach some of the Div 3, Div 4, Div 5 kids how to pitch and get better. It's like it's such an amazing community over here.
Yeah, it's good you mentioned kids there as well, because that is something that the BBF is really trying to push at the moment. It is the kind of youth element of it, and in fact, one of our players, Jimmy, he's the Southwest youth rep now. We've just started a youth team with the Outlaws called the Banditos. We managed to keep the theme going, right? And we grant from Sport England to sort of help, because obviously kids get different. They can't really use ours because it's too big. So to allow us to purchase some of that. So that's probably going to be the focus of our club moving forward, because much as those of us that are playing in the adult team now love the game, 80% of us are past it, right? We ain't making it. But I don't think there's anything wrong with having the ambition that maybe one day, one kid that comes through our system maybe gets a scholarship to go to the States and gets to play college ball, and who knows, ends up getting drafted. I mean, it's a huge ceiling to aim for. But if you aim high, you're still doing pretty well. And that's the kind of theme we're going for at the moment.
It's definitely possible. There's one kid that I played with in last season, and he just got a scholarship to a Division 2 team over in America. So you never know, could work out for them, and absolutely, it's great to have. Hey, so bring back to the Outlaws and the kind of social thing that you were saying as well. Like who's kind of developed the social to what it is now, and obviously you have videos that go viral. But the thing that's great about your stuff is you have like a lot of different routes that you go down. You do like your interviews, you do like behind the scenes, then you do like the kind of fun videos. Is this just like a group effort? Is there one person who's kind of spearheading it? What was the story on that?
We do have a social media committee. There's about 7 of us in obviously in a WhatsApp group that kind of throw ideas together. But I've got to give a shout out here to Jack Parsons. I mean, he's one of the founder members of the club, and he was the original brains behind the sort of social media themes. A lot of the early stuff was all down to him, and it would be very, very remiss of me not to give him a big up here, because he has been the driving force behind it. A lot of the creative energy kind of came from Jack originally, and it's kind of spread by osmosis throughout the rest of us that are involved in it. He's very good at what he does, and he does work in marketing, so that's quite a good thing. But just his enthusiasm and his passion for getting the message out there, it rubs off on folk. And it just kind of snowballs from there. It's a really cool thing to be part of. and a real welcome distraction from the day job. Do you know what I mean? It's so different to do for a living that it's great. I love it. It's all part of everything about. And I said this in one of the interviews that I did at the beginning of the year. Everything that this club represents, for me personally now, is about how much better it's made my life. And that sounds really cliched, but blokes my age, we can get to a point where all you've got in your life is like work and family, because it kind of takes over. And this has given me like an outlet to be a kid again. It's so good. It's made wonders for my mental health. And I think if you talk to a lot of peers in the club, they'll tell you the same thing. Are we going to blaze trails and win trophies? Probably not. We don't care. I mean, don't get me wrong, we play to win, but it's so much more than just that 7 innings that we play. It's much bigger than that. There's a whole community growing out of it, and it's a really nice thing to be a part of. It's cool.
It's fantastic as well, because I think, especially after the lockdown, like that's when I met my girlfriend, but she hadn't heard of the Mets before then. So I think that stuff really helped people kind of get back out there. Mm-hmm. And I think one thing I just want to just take a moment to sort of, address, kind of just talk about in a little bit more detail, is the real growth. Yeah. So in the London Mets, for example, we've got a varying amount of teams each year, but what I'm finding is we're getting a lot more teams at the lower level. So like beforehand, it used to be single A, double A, triple A, whatever. Now we're looking at Div 4 and Div 5. And this year we've had 2 new Div 5 teams join. So it's not just good players that are coming in. Like, as Alan said, they go to a bar, they meet a guy who played AAA relief for the A's. Yeah. It's also these guys that are just picking up the sport from brand new. So also the London Mets do like the Spaceball for Beginners program. That's how I started. I believe, Alan, that's how you first got into it as well.
Yeah. A little bit behind that. It's like a 16-week course in the summer, and they teach you everything. You only have to come along. They provide gloves, they provide bats and everything, and then they teach you all the basics of catching, throwing, base running, rules, etc. Go ahead.
Yeah, we've sort of seen the numbers from that grow as well. Like I think the year that my fiance did it, I think there was like 40, 50 of them. The year that I did it was like sort of 80 some nights, and I think they're up to over 100 now.
They've had to stop. They've had to stop applications at some point because it's too much. They can't handle it.
Yeah, so that is just great to see. So I guess from your side, Taff, what have you guys seen the growth? I mean, the Outlaws obviously started. Did you just have 1 team last year and you've gone to 2 teams this year? What's kind of the down there? It's
been kind of astronomical in the speed that it's grown at. So last year, I think if you were to talk to the 3 founders, they were like, if we can get 9 guys to turn up, happy days. And very, very quickly, by the time we got to July and we started playing a few friendlies just to sort of get our feet under the table, we were already struggling to fit people into a lineup. Because we were getting, sort of regularly 15, 20 people turning up to try. By the time we got to sort of September, October time, when we were starting to have to move indoors because, it rains a lot down in Plymouth. So the outdoor training was kind of petering off. So we were moving indoors. We were getting 30 plus turning up. So we were like, okay, we're going to have to put 2 teams in. And we're lucky because we have that kind of depth where there's enough that will form a D4 team and will compete at D4 level, which then the D5 to be primarily focused on people new to the game, that the true rookies. We're actually looking next year at possibly having to have 3 teams. That's how much we're growing. I mean, I saw a stat from the BBS that I think since 2020 there's been like something like a 77% increase in the number of registered players. And that's just on the BBF book. Bearing in mind, although they're the governing body, there are several other independent leagues and associations dotted around the country. It's still a bit fragmented, but I think it's actually the fastest growing participation sport in the UK at the moment, which is phenomenal. Yeah. And if it carries on at this rate, brilliant. It's only good for the game. I mean, if we're dragging in that kind of numbers down here in the southwest, and obviously you guys in London, if you're having to close the books because there's that many people applying, that's a healthy sign for the sport in general, I think.
Well, it is to your point as well. It's like the people who are registered are literally the people who are get into teams, and we have people who do the BA for B course, for example, up here, and apply to go in the teams, try it for the teams, and don't make it. So there's a whole other array of people who are ready to go. So it's, yeah, like you say, fastest growing sport. It's amazing to be part of. What do you want to get to? What is there obviously you're just kind of like playing it as it is at the moment, but is there something else that you want to do within the club?
I mean, like I say, within the club, I think the youth focus is the primary thing for us. But you know, to see the game grow and continue to grow, we'll keep taking people on. And if the need and the want is there for more teams, we will put them in. And this is starting to be reflected in other teams in the southwest as well. I mentioned Exeter earlier on. They have now got a D5 and a D3 team, the D5 being the sort of the newer one that they've set up, and they're only 40 miles down the road from us. Now, bearing in mind, you know, population of the southwest ain't massive. I think if you went per capita, we've got a really high participation ratio here. There was a club that set up in North Devon last year, the Torrington Riptides. Again, if you were to look up Torrington on the map, you would think they have a baseball team. Really? Geographically, you think you're in the middle of nowhere. They've got one, and they won the tournament and at the end of March. You know, big props to them. There's real opportunity for the game to grow down here, I think. If we're doing it, I'm sure it's across the country.
And just a shout out as well for anybody listening as well who have a kind of interest in baseball and maybe think, oh, I don't know if I'm going to be good enough. Go and give it a try. Like Div 5 is just set up. So Div 4, which was single A, is kind of like people who are just getting into the game, might know how to play the rules. Still, there's a lot of errors being made. A lot of things we're just like trying to get a feel for the game. So Div 5 is even below that, and it's like, just give it a try. You absolutely will. Just go in, have a go. It's so much fun. It's one of the most that I love about it as well. It's one of the most accessible sports because in terms of like, you don't have to be fast, you don't have to be strong, you don't have to be any of these like particular things. You can be whatever. You have guys who are 6 foot, guys who are 5 foot, guys and girls and people who are just every body shape, give it a try. There is a place for you on every team. I guarantee it.
Absolutely, yeah, 100% agree with that. I mean, that's kind of a key philosophy for us, is that, you know, if you're willing to put the time in to come to training and you're wanting to take part, you will get game time one way or another. You know, there's got to be that reward at the end. You know, if people are willing to put the work in, they should be able to get the game time. And that's the best way to learn the game, right? Is get on the field and mess up and have fun.
I'm very good.
What I like to tell people as well is that to get into the baseball Hall of Fame, essentially you have to have a 300 hitting average, which means if you can miss 7 out of 10 times, you're still considered one of the greatest in the game. So just get out and play and make mistakes. It's great fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm gonna kind of take this idea a bit more abstract as we sort of come to the end. What would you like to see kind of like, ultimately it's one organization's real responsibility to grow the game in the world, and that is MLB. You know, they go on and say, oh, we're America's pastime and all that. But obviously you see, you know, success of the MPB, success of the KBO in other countries. We've got the BDF over here. But ultimately everyone is looking at MLB. That's the major product, right? That's what everyone who's ever picked up a baseball mitt or a glove, they are the ones that they look at and they go, yes, I want to play in the MLB. That's the aspiration for everyone in the world who's playing this game professionally. And they obviously had the London series, but then also cancelled the London series as well, which I kind of get from like a standpoint of it's unfair to the teams that travel over, but then I think it's unfair to the wider British public because they miss out. What would you like to see MLB do specifically in Britain to help grow the game more? Because I think they've done some steps, but it seems to me they kind of did a half-assed effort.
Yeah,
cancellations recently.
Definitely. I mean, they only have to look at the NFL. Okay, so you look at what the NFL have been doing the last sort of 10 years in the UK, well, and wider Europe, but specifically in the, they have grown what was a fairly niche sport into almost a mainstream sport in the UK now, and that's purely by investing in the time and the embuggerance factor for the teams that have to come over here, but the payoff in terms of how much their market base, because let's face it, it's a business, has grown on the back of that, I think is more than paid for itself. So what I'd like to see the MLB do is take a leaf out the NFL's book, commit to a 4 or 5 year program of games being held in the UK, and maybe take it to the next level. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, my team, have a real strong affiliation with London. They have they organise flag football camps, etc. And admittedly, mostly in London, but they do travel around the country as well. I'd love to see. I mean, personally, I'd love to see the Jays do it. It's probably not going to be them. It'll be one of the big ticket MLB teams, the Dodgers or the Plymouth Yankees or whatever. Just have that affiliation. There's facilities here that they can do it. They can run camps. They can run engagement events. That's the way for them to do it. And I think if they do that, the momentum is already here in this country for the game to grow. But if you get the weight of the MLB behind that, it could go huge. I mean, you look at the World Baseball Classic and how Team GB performed in that. We've qualified for the next one without having to go through the hoops that they did to get into this year's competition. So it's gathering mass, and I think they would be really missing an opportunity to not capitalize on that. So I mean, if they're listening, guys, come on, if the NFL can do it, you guys can do it, and I know which one to see here, but hey.
To be honest, the amount of times that we slag off the MLB, I don't know how often they do actually listen, but it's part of our charm, so we're not going to stop doing it.
Yeah.
Perfect, Taff. I think we're coming to sort of the end of the main part of the interview, but we always we end these interviews with a nice fun segment. It's called Start Bench Cut. And we've got 2 for you. So for those of you that are listening and don't know what Start Bench Cut means, it's a new season, so I'll give you a pass. I will explain it this one last time for this whole season, and then if me or Cal or Alan or anyone has to explain it again, just look it up. It's on Google. They have their own AI mode. Start bench cut. We're going to give Taff 3 options. He has to start one, he has to bench one, he has to cut one. Start's obviously the best one, cut's the worst one, bench is that bit in the middle. You don't really know if you like it or not. It's normally like that. For all 3 options are going to be options that he wants to start, so it's going to be really, really hard for him. Everyone happy? Good. Alan's got 1 start bench cut for you. I've got 1. So, Alan, do you want to kick this one off?
Okay, well, this, for anybody who's watching the video, has actually worked out perfectly and unintentionally, because we got headwear is such a big thing for you. And I probably know what the start's going to be, but we're going start bench cut, cowboy hat, baseball cap, beanie.
Oh, that's an easy one. You start the baseball hat, bench the baseball cap, and then cut the beanie. Sorry.
You mean the start? You said start baseball hat, start the cowboy hat,
bench the baseball, cut the beanie.
That's what we're thinking. We gave you an easy one to lay up there, but that's what we thought.
If this was a Blue Jays cap rather than a Cubs cap, does that change it?
Nah. I'll just put the bird on here, mate.
Oh, I love that. Great. So, second start bench cut. It's more to do with the Outlaws. So you mentioned that the Outlaws are they're Western themed. So I've picked up 3 Western cowboy films, just to show if you're a real sort of fan. I've got the 100. I've got a list of the 100 best Western films of all time on my left. So I'm just going to pick the first 3 I've heard of. So you're going to have The Magnificent Seven. You're going to have, oh God, apparently Back to the Future Part 3 is considered a Western film, but we can ignore that for this. We'll do The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and we will do The Hateful Eight. So The Hateful Eight, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and I can't even remember the first one I said at this point.
Magnificent Seven.
Start 1, bench 1, cut 1.
Yeah, I would start The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly because it's timeless. I'd probably bench The Magnificent Seven, and The Hateful Eight I'd cut, mainly because I'm not even sure I've seen it.
Ooh, Tarantino film. It came out of like about 7-8 years ago, maybe.
definitely cut it then.
Oh, you're not a Tarantino fan?
Not a Tarantino fan at all. No.
Okay, fair enough. Why? What do we got against the?
Doesn't do it for me. I've watched some of the classics that he's done, and it just didn't float my boat. But we can't all be the same, right?
Fair enough. Hot takes coming hard and fast. I'm liking it. Hot takes out of Plymouth.
I love that. We're coming to the end of our interview. Those were the only start bench cuts, but you seem to breeze through them. So if we have you on again, we'll have to hit you with some hard ones. Before we go, we always like to give our guests a chance. It's a shameless plug. We're always going to do it. I assume you're going to plug the Outlaws, but for those of you that may have not paid attention to the first 35 minutes of this recording, Taff, tell us about them.
Yeah, so Plymouth Outlaws. We are probably the fastest growing baseball club in the Southwest, definitely in Plymouth. Come and check us out. We're across all social media. Just look up Plymouth Outlaws. You'll see what we're about. You'll see the vibe that we've got. And if you've got any kind of interest in just trying this beautiful game out, come along, give us a shout. You'll be more than welcome, and we'll show you the ropes and probably make you spend a load of money like the rest of us have done in buying gear. So yeah, come and check us out, but you'll have a best time, I promise.
Absolutely. For anyone listening along, it's Plymouth, spelled Plymouth, Plymouth Mariners.
No, not the Mariners.
Outlaws. Sorry.
Rivals, but also
Mariners are there. Check out everybody, but the Outlaws is the one.
Yeah,
you had one job, Alan. You had one job.
Is it because he's a Yankee fan? What do you expect?
Yeah, I just wanted to get you back for it,
Taff, you've been fantastic. Thank you very much for coming on. We will, of course, tag the Plymouth Outlaws Instagram. So you can go and check out the stuff they're doing on social media. It's always good if you're sort of scrolling on your phone and you've got a bit of time to watch a video or two. It's always great fun. All I have to say is, Taff, you've been fantastic. Hope the Outlaws have a fantastic season. Maybe we'll see you in the playoffs if you're in Div 5, hopefully. I've been Gaz, Alan's been Alan. This has been a Brit Does Baseball Does podcast. Still a mouthful after almost a year. You've been fantastic. Thank you and goodbye.
It is all.